we're going to be talking about how to find solutions to linear systems, and we're also going to get into little graphing linear systems. So pretty much the first part of this assignment talks about how to determine solutions, and solutions make the equations true. And a solution set would just be any pair of numbers, coordinate, that could make the solution or be a solution to the system. So if you look at exercise 1, they want us to determine if 2, 5 is a solution. So really all you have to do is make sure you plug in 2 for x and 5 for y. So like in this first equation, you got to do it in both. You get 5 equals 4 parentheses 2 minus 3. And then you would take the calculator and type each side of the equation in. You can't type it all in together, like we've talked about before. But in this case, 4 times 2 minus 3 is 5. So that is true. That checks. And then the same thing for the other one. You have 2 parentheses 2 plus 5 equals 9. So you would type that part in the calculator. That's going to be 9 as well. So it's got to check in both for it to be a solution. Okay, so we've got a solution for that. Checks in both. And then for graphing purposes, if we talk about exercise 2, and again, you would just take these, go to y equals, you type each one in. I mean, if you want to be careful, just do one at a time. I'm not going to so much go through this whole process, but you can go to the table by hitting second graph. Okay, that'll give you the line. I got my table or my calculator set in graph and table. But I know based on this equation 2x plus 5, I know where it's going to start. It starts at 5, so I'm going to put a dot at 5. And then the slope is 2, which means I would go up 2 and over 1. So if I work backwards from there, I'm going to fill in points. It's a little bit of a shortcut. You have to be really comfortable with the slope and intercept. So I'm going to draw that line in. I'm going to label it y equals 2x plus 5. I'm going to do the next one in blue. 2 minus x. So I know I'm going to start at 2. The y-intercept's the number by itself. And then it's going to be negative 1 for the value next to x. So I have to go down 1, right 1. But again, you can use a calculator, and if you're taking the test, use that calculator for every question that you can. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line in. Now I'm looking for the intersection. That intersection is going to be the solution. And in this case, the solution ends up being this point, which happens to be negative 1, 3. Now again, that point, if I plug it in for x and y, it'll be true for both equations. And that's the idea. It should be true for both, because there are points on this graph. All the points in blue that I put are true for the second equation, this equation, and all the points in red are true for the first equation, but I need the point that's true for both, which happens to be the intersection. Now I'm going to finish up this video on the back of this page, and I would like you to do on your own, I would like you to do this part. There's a word bank at the top I'd like you to fill in, kind of based on what we talked about. So you can do that on your own and then just have me check it before you move on to the questions. But the last part we're going to look at is exercise number 4. And this one's a word problem. This is more familiar to like a 4 or 6 point question on the test. They want us to create one of those command words, create 2 linear models for Janelle and Swetha. So we have to make an equation for Janelle and Swetha based on the test that they're doing. So I'm going to call them J of X and S of X for their names. So I'm going to go up to the top, and again, these are linear functions, so we're looking for a starting value and the rate of change. So it says Janelle and Swetha are taking a 50-question true-false test. Janelle started after Swetha had already finished 12 questions. So there's a little clue. Swetha already did 12 questions, so she's going to be 12 questions in. Janelle answers questions at a rate of 2 per minute. That word rate refers to the slope. So Janelle is doing 2 questions a minute, in this case 2x, while Swetha answers them at a rate, again, slope, rate of change, 5 questions every 4 minutes. So she's doing 5 questions for 4 minutes, so that would be the fraction 5 over 4. So these would be our equations for Janelle and Swetha. And what I'd like you to do at this point is to go ahead and graph those. And then it says using your calculator as needed, solve the problem. So in this point it says how many minutes does it take her and what question are they on when Janelle catches up. So if we're doing a sentence stem for that, our sentence stem, how many minutes does it take her? See, it takes her blank minutes. We'll fill that in if we get our data on the graph. And what question are they on when she catches up? They are on question blank. So we got 2 questions posed in this one. So we got to use 2 sentence stems for it. Okay. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me in class, and good luck.